wife called and said, are you selling the plane? Am I selling all this in order to buy more Bitcoin? We bought a lot of Bitcoin since October, by the way. I bought it at 69. I bought it at 76. I bought it at 82. I bought it at 88. I bought it all the way to 108. And then I bought it on the way down. Look, I hate houses, okay? Houses are terrible, terrible investments. Imagine buying a house 14 years ago for 500 grand and you paid cash for it. That 500 grand could be in Bitcoin. You lost your mobility, which your dad didn't need. You do, okay? Kids need mobility today. You should not have your home on your personal financial statement because it is not an asset. I was invited to a Diddy party and I didn't go. I was not invited to Epstein Island. I think he was a CIA agent. I also think that Diddy was a CIA agent. You can't get away with this kind of shit for this period of time without having somebody protecting you.
C3, okay, a millionaire. I'm a young money millionaire.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Friday Stack. We are here every single day live, 12:30 p.m., streaming to the world to talk about your favorite asset, Bitcoin. If you are here, you just experienced one of the most violent crashes in Bitcoin's history, the fourth worst day of the 2020s for Bitcoin. And yet we are here and we are up $8,000 on the day, over 70 grand, retracing a lot of what was lost in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin is a roller coaster. You better be prepared to take the ups with the downs. And we are very grateful to be joined today by the man himself, Grant Cardone. Grant, how you doing today?
Hey guys, how's it going, man? Exciting day to be alive. You know, I was in a room last night. Appreciate you guys having me on, by the way.
Of course.
I was in a room last night and a guy made a really, really important point. He's like, when you invest when you make an investment in a stock or an asset that's got a 50 vol on it, what do you expect? And it was good, you know, like when I got in this game, I've been investing in apartments, you know, which is a very, like we move 3% a year. It's like, oh my God, everybody in the real estate space just celebrates. Yeah. One way or the other, by the way, you can move up or you can move down. Real estate gets sick, but it never dies. And so when you take a real estate investor and you put him in something that moves $40,000 in 3 days, it's like my gut wrenches, and I need to be reminded that I'm in an asset that is extremely volatile and that there's probably a 68% chance throughout the year that it's going to move 50% one way or the other.
Real quick, Rob, you want to pull up your screen because we have a tweet from you from I think a few days ago where you put up your 2024 Bombardier Global on the market, your love of the life. Because Bitcoin was going down. People were talking both directions here. Is this because you want to sell it to get more Bitcoin? Is it because you have other things to do? Or what's going on with this? Are you still doing it now that we're back at 70?
Well, you know, X is one of the most unbelievable places in the world to get information, and it's also a phenomenal place to troll. Yeah. So we're not quite sure what I'm doing here. My wife called and said, are you selling the plane? Well, the plane's listed on Controller. I just bought this plane November of last year. And not that it has anything to do with Bitcoin, but you know, the heavy jet, I sold a plane last year, a Gulfstream 650. I got what I paid for it 4 years before. I literally owned this unbelievable plane, owned it for 4 years and basically got out at the same price I got in at, which says a lot about what's going on with the assets and what people want to do with money right now. This asset I bought just November I closed, and I'm going to get more money than I paid for it. Like that never happens in aviation, just so you guys know. You know, when you buy a plane, whatever you paid for it, you know that plane one day will be zero. One day it will go to salvage for its parts. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a joke that people are making money. They're losing money in everything right now and making money in a jet. It's impossible.
Supply constraints, you know, just like
so, you know, am I selling all this in order to buy more Bitcoin? We bought a lot of Bitcoin over the last, since October, by the way. October, November, December, January. I've been buying it all the way. I bought it I bought it at 69. I bought it at 76. I bought it at 82. I bought it at 88. I bought it all the way to 108, and then I bought it on the way down, 92, 88, 82. I bought some last week for mid 80s and some earlier this week for 70, and I bought it 62 yesterday.
Well, it's going to look like it's all on sale here in a few years, right? We're going to look back and think that we got it for 120 at some point. Jody, go ahead. You look like you're eager to jump in here for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I think with this whole past couple days, do you call your brother up, or does your brother call you up first just to talk shop on what you're about to do?
Yeah, I always seem to call him first. By the way, Gary, if you're listening to this, I'm the one most often initiating the call.
Larry,
Like,
call
what's
your
going
brother,
on? What's happening?
We got to bring your brother. Next time we'll have to bring your brother on too. We'll have the Cardone brothers at the same time. But go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah. And so, I mean, as somebody who's been in Bitcoin invested heavily for the last year or so, does this, your investors, are they calling you? Are they worried in terms of your real estate and the deal you've got going on there?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Nobody's asked me that yet. And we have about 1,500 investors that we onboarded into our real estate Bitcoin fund. We've done 5 of these funds now. Starting last year, 25, we started these. The first project I think we added 175 Bitcoin between the purchase time and the 12 months of positive cash flow, because we use our cash flow to add Bitcoin. That fund has 175, and a cost base is higher than what we're at today. And then the last deal that we did, we added 1,075 Bitcoin at the purchase. And we haven't added any from cash flow there because we're stabilizing that asset. So we don't have the cash flow yet to add, but we will. Out of the 1,500 investors, and this is as of yesterday, guess how many phone calls I've had from those 1,500 investors? These are not Bitcoiners, by the way. These are investors in real estate that we said, look, we're buying the real estate. It's cash flow positive. We're going to add Bitcoin. It's still cash flow positive. We're long-term holders of the real estate, and we're long-term holders of the Bitcoin. The real estate's going to be very stable and boring and conservative, and it's going to do nothing for long periods of time. And then the Bitcoin's going to do this. We laid out the expectations completely to the buyer, to the investor. We had over 1,500 people invested in those projects. I've had that many phone calls.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. The Bitcoin community is more freaked out than my investor,
which is funny.
I'm freaked out. I don't. We got about 2,000 coins. So today we had a $16 million move today.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that. You got to remember, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a stable,
Yeah.
So I start doubting myself. I'm like, oh shit, is it going to zero? You go online, you see it. Is it going to zero? Was the whole thing just a scam,
I had a ton of friends start texting me this morning, and then now those texts have subsided now that we're back up to 70 or so. But you see people like Michael Saylor. I've been holding MSTR for a while, just watching it go down 70%. A lot of these treasury companies have been hit. What you guys are doing is very different, which I do like, right? And I was talking to my friend who's in real estate. I was like, no matter what, the markets aren't going to be going up and down like crazy. Like, you still have people paying you rent. That's going to be able to then ultimately buy more Bitcoin or buy more, properties. I think I saw you want to get up to like 100,000 units. I don't know if you have a time frame on that, but curious, just to dive in a little bit further on that. And then also AI has been prevalent like crazy. So taking an old asset like real estate, curious what you guys are doing from like an AI perspective, if you're using any of these tools to help accelerate and 10X, like you say.
Yeah, so the real estate, we're at 14,000 units. I was just on a call with a big group today. We're trying to double that this year.
Wow.
So we're trying to get to 28,000 units. There's very few people in the apartment space that have a lot of scale. And the ones that do typically, these are big Starwoods or the Gray Stars. They have tremendous portfolios, 150,000 units, but it's a lot of garbage. We're very, very selective. So we're trying to build out a very disciplined. I don't even know if it's possible to do this in the period of time I want to do it, but we're trying to build really great assets, most importantly in really, really strong locations. There's an old saying again in real estate: it gets sick, but it never dies. And Bitcoin doesn't have that. It doesn't. We don't know that about Bitcoin yet because it's not old enough. Gold and silver don't die. Land doesn't die. We don't know. Just say again.
San Francisco doesn't die. Just goes.
Yeah, it probably should, but
it never does. Yeah,
but it doesn't because you can't even burn it to the ground. They tried to burn it back in the 1900s and it came back. So some of these locations on the planet always come back. So if we could scale the apartment portfolio to 28,000, look, every time I get the way to think about it is the real estate is a cash flow machine. It's not a new business. It's not AI. It's not a SaaS model. It's not a car wash. Okay. It's people have to live someplace. Every time I raise the rents $25 on 14,000 units, I increase the value of the portfolio by 80 million.
Wow. Every
$25 increase provides $80 million of new value. So every $200 or $250 provides almost $1 billion of new value. So every time I can add units. Now when we combine the Bitcoin with it, what we have now is we had a very stable asset with an extremely volatile asset. So we got this hedging. It's like a yin yang. But it's a real asset. It's not like these other treasury companies. No offense to the other guys that are trying to do this, but there's no company, there's no accounts receivable, there's no collectibles. This flywheel concept without real income is a flywheel that is only based on appreciation. And so
And for those who are not familiar with your real estate Bitcoin plan, can you just explain it simply, how you buy the properties for less than the book value and then buy the rest of Bitcoin?
Yeah, so we would go buy, let's say we go buy whatever priced asset, right? It could be 2 million. We won't buy a small deal like that, but for the audience thinking about it, anybody could do what we're doing. We buy big, couple $100 million projects at a time, because it's the same work, it's the same problem, and so we take an asset that the last asset we bought was $235 million. We bought it from Blackstone out of bankruptcy. We stole the asset. For this to work, you have to steal. You have to be below replacement cost. Okay. So what we do is we take and stack Bitcoin back to the replacement cost of the asset. In this case, the asset was 300. It would take 330, a good 330, maybe 350 to build it. And we paid 100 million less than that. And rather than just stealing a piece of real estate, we just stack added value. A lower price is not value. It's just a lower price, which is cool. But you just end up with a lower price on one asset. We just stacked another 100 million that we feel like we stole from the seller and said, let's add another $100 million of Bitcoin. And we're still back to our 330 number. So now I have two assets, not one. I could have stole one asset, but instead I just put two assets together back to the full value of that one asset. We combine them into an LLC. I write the check. I put the two together. I create or form the partnership. And then I allow my investors to come in and backfill the investment at the same price that I'm in at. And then we all sit and wait. Our investors get an 8% preferred return. They get the first 8 points. If times 5 years, I owe them 40% at the end of 5 years. If we couldn't pay anything, they get the first 40%, and then we do a 50-50 split on everything above that. So you have to know your exits. You got to know, can I raise rents? You don't know what Bitcoin's going to do. You're just along for the ride, right? You have no control. On the real estate, I have slight control. I can improve the property. I can paint it. I can take care of the tenants. I can brand it. I can believe in the future of it because of where it was built. I can do some analytics on that, but we're long-term holders of the real estate. And the best thing to do is to be a long-term hold your ass on the Bitcoin because on a day like, this week, when it's going down, it doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we didn't have any phone calls from our investors because they know, dude, we still have the real estate. Even if the Bitcoin goes to zero, I need a plan to make up the $100 million loss. I bought $100 million of Bitcoin. If it goes to zero and we find out the whole thing was a scam, let's just pretend that could happen because it could happen, right? Nobody knows. It could happen.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes to zero, I need a plan to get my $100 million back on the real estate. And then we all wash our hands and say, okay, it was a terrible investment, but we didn't lose any money.
Mm-hmm. You said everyone needs to stop talking about Epstein, and I agree. I think that it's been too much, but he did pop back up in the news recently with Bitcoin being, early on emailing Adam back. It seems like potentially there was some centralization happening early on. He invested in Coinbase early on as well. What are your thoughts about, we all have this dream, this vision of Bitcoin being decentralized, kind of fighting against the government. If it were to be found out that, the government did create this, is that zero event, or what do you think would happen if we found out the feds were behind this, the CIA was behind it early?
Dude, look, I was invited to a Diddy party and I didn't go. I was not invited to Epstein Island, but what I would hope that I would have said no. I don't, personally, I don't care about Jeffrey Epstein. I think he was a CIA agent. I also think that Diddy was a CIA agent. You can't get away with this kind of shit for this period of time without having somebody protecting you being arrested. Okay, if any of us, the rest of us, did any of these things these people did, we would be in jail. They're not. I mean, maybe Diddy's in jail. I don't know, but I don't really care about Jeffrey Epstein. Like the whole thing's just too. I'm not going to spend 23 hours a day talking about pedophilia.
Yeah.
And I think it's overworked on the internet. And I think the people that are so fascinated with it, at some point, dude, you got to your fascination becomes a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, did the CIA build Bitcoin? I don't really care who built it. Okay. Yeah. I don't really care. I think it's a new technology any more than I don't know really how Amazon works or electricity or my phone or, how Tesla actually works. I just care that it gets me from one place to the other. Now they're saying that Elon is a government subsidized and that he's not actually an entrepreneur and he's not a genius. And this is all fabricated by the government. I think at some point, if you just give up on all good things, and I'm not going from Epstein to goodness, but some of this is just too deep for me. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm just not deep enough and not aware enough. Could be. Yeah.
You got to control what you can control in life.
Yeah, dude.
100%.
Look, I think the market's going to keep going down, guys. I think the AI thing is going to be a disappointment. I think the AI is going to be overfunded. I think the data centers are going to be overfunded. I would not be investing in data centers around the United States. I talked to a big bank the other day. They're selling their real estate apartment portfolios so they can move into to data centers. If Elon goes up there and taps into the sun for solar, these data centers will be worthless on this planet. Yeah. I think AI is going to disappoint. I use AI every day. We use it in every portion of our business. We use it from hiring to marketing to rent calculations to you name it. I'm using it. Okay, but I still think it's going to disappoint. I think there's going to be a bunch of failures in the space, and I think that you're going to see the SaaS models are going to bust. You're seeing it right now. The tech is going to bust. When this liquidity comes out of the market, it's going to hurt Bitcoin. Bitcoin could go to $30,000 or $40,000. I don't want it to go to 30 or 40.
We saw Google and Amazon just drop on earnings as well.
Yeah.
It is interesting, which kind of brings me to Kevin Warsh, right? We do have a new Fed. You were notorious, called the Fed a chokehold on the American dream, I saw. Trump had nominated Kevin Warsh, former Wall Street guy. He's looking to, no one's really known what's going on. It seems like the market is viewing him as hawkish still. But he says he wants to fix the housing recession. He says he's a Bitcoiner. From a real estate perspective, how are folks in real estate taking a look at Kevin Warsh? And is it kind of a wait and see moment, or, would love your take on the new Fed?
Yeah, I believe more in Donald Trump than I do in Kevin Warsh. Okay, so if Trump puts somebody in there that he can't control, Trump's going to lose a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
You can't pound on Jerome Powell. And by the way, I hate Jerome Powell. I think Jerome Powell is an extension of Anthony Fauci. Anthony Fauci was basically presenting an invisible, the COVID thing to terrify, crush the middle class in America. When that no longer worked, we went to Ukraine. When Ukraine was not sellable to the American people, we went to inflation. All three of these things are invisible to the American people. COVID's invisible. Ukraine was invisible. Inflation, invisible. You see it at the grocery store, but you can't explain it. Most of this inflation has been created by interest rates, by the way, not by tariffs. Tariffs did not create inflation. And by the way, money printing by itself did not create inflation. What created inflation was supply chains that were stopped. Couldn't build chips. Couldn't get my cars. Okay, people are freaked out at home. Okay, they got a $1,400 check. They're like, I can't do anything. I hate myself. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy a car, and I'm going to buy a pair of shoes, and I can't even go out and use them. So when people get emotional, they tend to buy shelter. Always. By the way, if you go back to 9/11, right after 9/11, people went out and bought shelter. They bought homes at scale because they were worried about dying. So they want to go build their community. I want to go back and I want to get back into my home. Same thing with COVID. It made no sense, by the way. I can't leave my house, but I need a bigger house. So I'm going to go buy a home. Now, everybody associates it with lower interest rates. But the truth is, if you lower interest rates, that doesn't mean activity takes place. You still have to have an impetus to want to go buy something. And when people are scared, they do stupid shit. Seek shelter. They eat too much. They drink. Okay, they do a lot of weird stuff, right? Because they're seeking some emotional nurturing or protection. So Jerome Powell, he raised rates and had the premise that we had to do it because we printed too much. But the truth is, what he did was he just stagnated the American housing, and which is where you bring Kevin Warsh in. Now, I don't know what Warsh is going to do. If you look at his history, he's pretty hands off. He talks about being hands off a lot. But all these guys say that bullshit until you give them the power.
Yeah. And you were investing in real estate 2010 to 2020, historically super low interest rates with your own fund. And this is also for our audience. Like, we always want to give them alpha, give them a way to think about investing. My father's in a real estate developer, and he was talking about that 2020 bump, 2021, where we saw this massive gap up in a $500,000 home into a $750,000 home very, very quickly. So a lot of Americans suddenly, the ones that were lucky enough to own homes, now have a net worth that's grown. And he's like, look, I just don't see this next generation getting that 50% bump in the same way. So taking this to your fund, do you feel like if we don't see interest rates that low ever again, you can't get the overall capital appreciation on the piece of real estate? So in the fund, you're looking for the growth and the capital appreciation in the Bitcoin side. And I think for the next generation, they're trying to get they're trying to get generational wealth. They want the boomer money. They want big money, and getting a 5% return doesn't change your life, right?
Well, I would just tell your dad a couple things. One is, you should not have your home on your personal financial statement. if your dad has it on there, shame on him, because it is not an asset. It should not be considered an asset. He's probably going to die in that house. And so if he paid $250 and it's worth $700, he can say he's worth $500,000, but the only way he gets that half is he's got to sell it.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't produce income. It won't sell today. It's a very illiquid asset. And if he sold it, he's got to go live someplace. So I wouldn't personally consider the home as an asset. Now,
his statement is more general for the public, just like the average person got like a nice bump if they did own a home.
He's got to defend his dad here.
but I am talking to the average person. I'm talking to, no offense, but we're talking to the average person right now because the kids out there listening to your dad, you're the kid, and your dad's like the youth of today doesn't have the chance. Dude, the youth of today have more opportunities than your dad ever had in his lifetime. Okay, like they're crazy, unbelievable opportunities today for the kids today. Now, I would tell you guys never to buy a home. Your dad got lucky in a cycle. He's going to die in the house, and how many brothers and sisters you got?
Got one sister.
Yeah, you guys are going to split that house up as fast as you can. Your dad's not going to even be cold in the ground. And you guys are going to be like, how much can we get for the house? And your sister's going to be like, oh, I got so many good memories. And you're going to be sell a goddamn house. Okay. And you guys are going to chop it up. You're going to chop up the $500,000 and go about your own ways and say, oh my God, I've been priced out of housing. Interest rates will go back to where they were again, by the way. So you will have another opportunity to buy. And what you want on a house is a low rate. You don't want a low price. You want a low rate, because if the prices come down, it's going to destroy your dad's equity, and which is going to be your equity, by the way. So the last thing, anybody that's shopping for a home, you don't want houses to go down, because if they go down, you destroy equity. Okay. You want prices to continue to go up. What you want is a low rate for a long period of time. So that,
And Sean,
okay.
Go ahead, finish your thought. I had a question that was on top of this, actually.
Yeah. So look, I hate houses. Okay. Houses are terrible, terrible investments. People are like, oh, you're just saying that because you have all these rentals and you want everybody to rent. Okay. I own 2 homes. They're terrible investments. I've owned 7 homes and I've made money on every single one of them. And I'm still telling you, they're terrible investments, because you have to fund them constantly. You got to fund the mortgage. You got to fund, even if you paid cash for it, you could have had that money in the market. Imagine buying a house 14 years ago for $500,000 and you paid cash for it. That $500,000 could be in Bitcoin for 14 years. And it would be worth, I don't know, you guys do the math. What would it be worth? 50 times that?
Yeah.
100 times?
Probably do the public math.
Yeah, I was gonna go check it out, but a lot is the answer there.
It's going to be, you could have used that same money, the S&P 500. You could have bought Netflix. You could have bought NVIDIA. You could have almost bought anything and been better off than being in a single family home where you lost your mobility, which your dad didn't need 30 years ago. You do. Okay, kids need mobility today, right? I mean, 30 years ago, you lived in the same town, you went to college there, maybe you went to college for 4 years, came back, worked in the town you're in. That's not happening anymore. You got basically 50 cities in America that drive all the traffic. Everything's happening in the top 50 cities and probably down to 25. The rest of the country does nothing. That's where you guys want to be. And this AI thing is going to catapult all that and accelerate everything like at 50x. To where I don't have to go to Harvard anymore. I can get a Harvard degree on my phone, not even a computer, right here, and pay nothing. So I just think that, man, there's going to be so many better investments than owning a home, and it's just going to get better and better for you guys. And owning a home will be the last thing you want to do. We're not buying homes. We're buying large complexes with 300 units. There's rent on. The rent's $2,000 times 300. We're earning, whatever, 600 grand a month, $7 million a year. By owning a piece of property that we don't live in, we rent. By the way, how much real estate does Donald Trump own compared to how many single family homes does he have? He doesn't buy. This is what people should be mimicking.
Yeah.
Okay. Buy the entire property and live on the top unit for free. That's what Trump does.
Immigrants do that really well.
Immigrants are the best at it. What do they do? Okay. What do the Indians and the Chinese do when they come here?
Hotel.
All live together.
They live together, and then they go buy a motel down the street. They buy 7-Elevens. They buy the unsexiest businesses that Americans won't touch because we're so entitled. They accumulate a bunch of Motel 8s. They end up with 10,000 units, and they still live way below their means. They don't drive the Rolls. They don't wear the Patek. They don't wear Gucci, and they just get rich as shit. While white suburban males,
our demo, and their kids become doctors. All their kids become doctors. It's respectable.
They'll change that though, because that won't even be a business tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, if you're our age, you need an appreciating asset. And if you're going to get one of those, it's got to be Bitcoin. And if you're getting Bitcoin, head over to Rhino. They are the next generation Bitcoin banking app designed to handle all of your Bitcoin needs in one place. What can you do with Rhino? Buy Bitcoin with some of the lowest fees anywhere, make payments over the Lightning Network instantaneously, send cash globally, and of course, set up DCA for automatic savings on your own schedule. With Bitcoin and Rhino, you'll soon be able to pay bills, direct deposit, borrow against your Bitcoin, and even save for retirement all in one app. And Rhino protects your Bitcoin with biometric verification, 24/7 fraud protection, and the confidence of knowing your Bitcoin is never rehypothecated. Go over to rhinobitcoin.com today, download the app, and let us know if you have any questions. Very close friends with the program. Great place to buy your Bitcoin, and we vouch for the team over at Rhino. So, Grant, I wanted to ask you obviously have some distrust for Fauci, the government, what they did during COVID. You're calling Epstein maybe CIA. Did you always think this way? Or was there a time when you believed in the government fully and the dollar and then had your doubts later on?
No, I've never. I mean, since I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and dude, I've never trusted dollar. I lost a quarter when I was 8 years old. My dad gave me a quarter, 25 cents. You guys probably don't even know what a quarter is. My dad gave me a quarter. I was walking down the street, felt like I was a baller, dude. I was a shot caller, 8 years old, fucking got a quarter. I'm getting bags of gum. I'm going to get wet. Like I'm scoring, right? And on the way over there, I dropped the quarter into a manhole. And ever since that day, I'm like, dude, money, you're going to lose money. If you're carrying it around with you, you're going to lose it. And if you're going to keep it in your pocket, you're going to spend it, or somebody's going to steal it, or the government's going to inflate on you. And so money is useless. I mean, all you got to do is look at a dollar bill or a 50 or 100 and look on the back, and it says, "In God we trust." Right there, it's a lie. God has nothing to do with that piece of paper.
And don't fold that dollar for the conspiracy theories out there. You see the all-seeing eye, which is pretty crazy. Bringing this back to real estate.
Can I just finish on the dollar thing?
Yeah.
I've never trusted money.
Yeah.
And so since I was 30 years old, I learned how to get it. And when I got it, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't trust the stock market. I don't understand bonds. I'm not very sophisticated. So that's why I started buying real estate when I was 30 years old, because I was trying to upgrade the paper. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is way before Bitcoin, right? I'm trying to upgrade paper. I'm trying to get a piece of paper to be a piece of concrete. Something I can't lose, like the quarter. You can't lose a 48-unit apartment building, okay? If you don't over leverage it, you can't lose it. Like nobody can, you can't steal the whole 48 units from you.
Unless you're in New York, and Mamdani comes in and snags it.
Yeah, but even then, dude, like even then you can't take the property from me very easily. You know, if it cash flows, by the way, I can go long periods of time and not lose it. So you don't want to over leverage it. But you know, with COVID, dude, I never trusted COVID. When COVID came around, I'm like, come on.
Dude, you were a lifeline for me on Twitter Spaces. Was listening to you. Me and Rob have talked extensively about this. We're one of the few in New York area that were anti all of that stuff. So it was great.
I was on the top 10. I was number 2 on a top 10 list of what were they called? Mass spreaders.
Misinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a COVID spreader. I was a masked COVID spreader. They had some term for it, but because we were holding events, we were still holding live events. And the hotel was like, hey, you'd have to have plexiglass in between each person. I'm like, God, this fucking thing came from Wuhan, China. If it came from Wuhan, crossed the Atlantic Ocean, came into the United States, settled down in Miami, made it through the hotel HVAC, it could probably fucking get over the plexiglass.
Yeah, it was crazy times to say the least. We have President Trump came out with an executive order. I don't know where it stands today, but he wants to stop all the the Blackstones of the world coming in, buying up these single family homes. You've always said a house is not an investment, as you just touched on previously. Does this ban make you like kind of the last man standing now for big capital and the government coming in for this multifamily empires next, you think? Or what's taking place now with this executive order?
Yeah, that's a I think I think it sounds good. He's going to stop the institutions. Institutions buying real estate is not a problem. Institutions own less than 4% of the entire inventory. It's a nothing burger. Okay. The problem in America is the individual is not buying the real estate. The truth is nobody's buying it right now, except guys like me. And when they do buy, they buy the wrong stuff. So again, the government, Donald Trump will never tell you that a house is not an investment because the American psyche is so pinned in to this idea that a house, that you deserve a house and you should have your own home. I mean, this is so embedded into the psyche of the American household that no politician will ever tell you, bro, it's not an investment. Okay, it is simply a place to live. That's it. So you go to the hospital, you rent a room. You go to police station, you want to rent a room. By the way, you want it to be a short stay, not a long stay. The moment the banks created this phenomenon called the American Dream, that's a house with a 30-year prison sentence.
50-year, maybe.
I want to go to 100. By the way, I told Trump, I said, why don't you go to 100, dude? Don't do 50. Why stop at 50? Go to 100, bro. Look, you're only going to keep the place 8 years anyway. And the 50-year amortization doesn't change the payment enough. So just go ahead and am it to 100. Because all you're trying to do is get the payment down. Now, the easier thing to do is to simply just drop rates to 2%. But right now he's having trouble with Jerome Powell controlling that. I don't even know if Warsh can reduce the rates fast enough to get the 10-year Treasury to drop. But we'll see. I think that's going to happen anyway, because now you're seeing the tech stocks. All this tech money is going to come out of the market. It'll flush out Bitcoiners. Tremendous amount of money is going to move to treasuries to safety, particularly if this thing continues to escalate. Yeah. You see this phenomenon going on with silver and gold right now. Like, why is all this money chasing the safest asset in the world? Okay, because there's uncertainty in the marketplace. When this continues to build, you're going to have a bunch of money chase treasuries. When money chases treasuries, the rates go down. We'll have a 2% again, and housing will boom in this country.
Microsoft dropped this week after earnings because one of the factors, 45% of their obligations are now to OpenAI, a private AI company, where that CapEx spending, who knows if that can continue, right? Like, how long can OpenAI just raise money private? If it's already at a $1 trillion valuation privately, you're going to IPO and people are going to make a return. Just super unlikely. So market's sniffing it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. And once it turns, it will turn violent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like how many people are really using AI today? Other than, hey, what movie should I see this weekend?
Right. A lot of people are using it simple.
Bro, like, come on, man. People are using it. I'm one of those people that's using it simple. Okay. I haven't figured out how to build websites and code with it.
You're going to have to listen to Jody on Wednesdays. He's going to start getting into some of the shit he's building, which is it's pretty wild. You can do. So real quick, we have a game that we want to play with you shortly. But before we do that, we got one more sponsor that we have to thank really quickly. So let me pull that up with Arch. So we want to give a big shout out to Arch Lending. You've done the hard part. You stacked, you held, you didn't panic sell. But as we've seen, real life still happens. Taxes, new opportunities, big purchases like homes. Selling Bitcoin just feels wrong. That's where Arch comes in. Arch lets you borrow against your Bitcoin instead of selling it. Think of it like a flexible line of credit. When rates start as low as 9.5%, you use our promo code, the Daily Stack. You get 1% off of that. The best part, the Bitcoin stays yours. Arch has a no rehypothecation policy. Collateral is never lent out. It is held in qualified insured bankruptcy remote custody with full transparency. Check them out, archlending.com. That's ARCH lending.com/daily stack. And we are back here. So, Grant, I wanted to say, as a new father, it's very cool to see you bring your daughter up on stage quite a bit. All of us are actually new dads. Me and Rob are both girl dads, and Jody's got a little son. So I'm curious, like, how are you as a father with everything happening with AI, with all, the craziness with Iran this week? Next week's going to be a different, thing that people make signs for. So What are you telling your kids today? Or, you're looking at other young people that are listening, how are you telling them to, live their lives and to not get distracted by the next Epstein thing or whatever is popping up next, right?
Yeah, look, we homeschool our kids, number one. So they're with us a lot. They spend a lot of time with us. I don't tell my kids a lot. I just let my kids watch how I do things. Because they're with us so much. I have majority influence over the kids. I think it's very important for you guys that are parents, man. Like, I don't want to control the kids, but I do want to control the environment the kids are in. And we took our kids out of schools. Best thing we ever did for our kids. I mean, any of you want to search Sabrina Cardone or Scarlett Cardone? My kids are exemplary, phenomenal human beings. I'm not taking all the credit for it, by the way, and my wife's done a great job with them, but I'm not even saying it's her. We put them in an environment where they're around adults most of the time, not kids. And taking them out of school was absolutely brilliant. It was, and by the way, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to have them not in a school system. It's not more expensive, and it's not complicated to homeschool. My 15-year-old finished school at 15. She's 16. She finished at 15. My 13-year-old's on track to finish at 15. And they weren't socialized by a bunch of idiots. And, all the hard work you guys do as parents, teaching your kids, however you teach them, whether it's via words or example, it can be undone by a 5-year-old or a 25-year-old teacher in 5 minutes. And you could spend the next 20 years trying to undo one piece of bullshit. Now, did my kids didn't get to be on the soccer team, and they didn't get to be a cheerleader, and they didn't get to wear the school uniform. And guess what? They didn't get introduced to the drugs and alcohol either. So yeah, they weren't socialized. I controlled the environment. And then we had our kids work for us. We put them on payroll. That's good. They're a write-off. Okay, write them off before you got to write them off.
I was telling Jody, our kids are. What's the age? Because my kid's only 2, but by age 3, she's going to be.
You can do them now. You can do them now. You could put them on payroll right now.
Yeah, and podcast produce.
Yeah, put them on payroll. Dress them. They'll be 9 by the time the IRS probably audits you. And you just got to document how you used them. So I'm going to use my kids, by the way. My kids are using me.
Yeah.
Another thing I tell you is we never gave our kids an allowance. We put them on payroll. with a contract. Hey, you have to do these things. And when you do these, we're going to pay you money. We pay them once a year. And then we took the money and invested the money in Cardone Capital, is a company I own. Cardone Capital pays a monthly distribution so that the money they get is a tax write-off. Okay, then we take and invest it. I used it as an investment portal to help us fund a project we're doing. And that project then pays them a distribution every month. So when they want an iPhone, I'm like, you have your own money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they get $300 a month on the first distribution or whatever the number is. They're like, I don't have enough money for a phone. Good, well, you'll have to wait 2 months. And then by the time they wait 2 months, they're like, fuck it, I actually don't need a phone. And then they start accumulating money. They start looking. I'm talking about 5 and 6 and 7 years old, guys. They're learning this.
That's awesome.
And I don't tell them what to spend their money on. They get to decide, you know what, I can just stick with the phone for a little while longer.
Mm-hmm. That is some of my favorite content you make on Instagram is just like explaining how to do some of this stuff, because so many people are not taught this in school, right? You're taught, how to do core and shit you don't use, especially with AI. You're not going to use any of this stuff anymore, right? And so it is helpful to get your brain working, but it's pretty wild how much they teach you, and then you go to the real world, fall on your face because you have no financial experience, anything, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you had one more thing, but
and it's fun. Let me just say this: it's super fun doing this with the kids too. Like I mean, if you really take on the hat and the responsibility of saying, "Hey, I'm going to be the teacher," because you are, guys. They're never going to forget the dad. Okay, they're never going to forget the dad. The dad is not the mom, and the mom is not the dad, and they ain't never ever going to forget the dad. A good dad, a bad dad, or a medium dad, they ain't forgetting you ever. Okay, the anchor into that child is so unbelievable. Your most important job you're going to have in your entire life, the most important thing you're ever going to do is raising your children. It is the number one brings me more happiness than all the money I've ever made, all the success, all the books, the TV shows, all the bullshit I've done. Nothing compares to being a dad. And they're never going to forget it, dude. So like, you guys can make a huge difference. And one teacher can fuck it all up.
Yeah. We've seen that far too often on Twitter. So a war zone out there. Rob, did you have one more question before we get to the fun game we're playing here?
No, let's bring on the game. Let's have some fun.
All right, let me make sure this is full screen here.
I'm removing these.
You have to exit yours. All right, so Grant, we're doing a game I made up last night called Cardone versus Clone. So it's things that either you have said or someone else in Bitcoin has said, and we're going to see if you remember exactly what it was.
Okay, cool. Let's see.
Yeah, a little more fun than just a regular podcast here. All right, so first quote: Bitcoin is the ultimate business model because it has no employees, no overhead, and no human error. It's a frictionless enterprise.
No, I would not have said that.
Who do you think said it?
Maybe my brother.
Your brother.
Oh,
trying to throw you off on the first
impressive.
one.
Why would your brother say that and not you?
Because the last line, it's a friction. What would you say? What's the last line on it? It's
It's a frictionless enterprise. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't talk like that. When I saw that, I said, "Oh, that's my brother saying that."
Rob, you want to go with the next one?
All right. Real estate is a slow death. Inflation and taxes eat the building before you can even collect the rent. Bitcoin is the only way to fight back.
No, that's some maximalist Bitcoiner.
Let's see.
That's some revolutionary. Yeah,
Michael, that's some maximalist Bitcoiner. You're right.
Totally.
Smelling them out.
There it is.
Have you met Michael?
By the way, me and Michael have spent a lot of time together. I did a long interview with him. But Michael told me he's one of the people I went to before I created my real estate Bitcoin hybrid. And he's like, you need to drop the real estate and just do the Bitcoin. Well, maybe not.
That's a nice way to say it. 100%. All right, Joe, you're on this next one.
When the market crashes, the poor sell and run, but the rich rush in and buy. A crash is just a sale for people who have cash.
No, I didn't say that.
Let's see. Who do you think said that one?
I don't know who said this. Some
trying to
fraud.
remember.
Rothschild. Robert
Kiyosaki.
Dude, that's
Or-
exactly, what did I just say? What did I say? Some fraud?
You said it.
Yeah.
That guy is, by the way. I'll just say it right now.
Brought it
Oh
out.
yeah.
He did not write the book,
Yeah.
Rich
Really?
Dad, Poor Dad. There was no Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He published the book at most. He had nothing to do with the writing of it. And I just wish Richard, he would just tell everybody the truth, dude. It's a parable. There was no Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah. Just tell us a parable.
And it would be more legitimate, by the way. And so when he says, I think, what was it? I don't know. He said he sold 2 Bitcoin recently and bought a laundromat. I'm like, bro, what, are you Rich Dad or Poor Dad right now? Only a poor dad would sell his Bitcoin to buy a fucking laundromat. A rich dad would borrow against his Bitcoin to buy the laundromat.
All right, let's see if you know this one. If you aren't being criticized for your Bitcoin position right now, you aren't big enough. Criticism is the signal that your wealth has arrived.
No, that's not me.
It is you. At least
No,
you
I
followed
didn't
up
say
on-
that. No, that's a misnomer. That's a misnomer.
It could be a Gemini hallucination if it was.
Go back again. Let me see what it said. I might have said the first sentence, but not the last sentence.
If you aren't being criticized for your Bitcoin position right now, you aren't big enough. Criticism is the signal that your wealth has arrived.
No, you miswrote that.
All right, well, we're gonna
But
blame
Grant,
Google.
what is your take on criticism and haters? I mean, you got to deal with a lot of it when you're built a position as large as yours in terms of influence and a media personality.
Yeah, you're going to get it, man. It's part of the, everybody wants to be successful, but nobody wants all the stuff that comes with it. Like if you're going to own a dog, it comes with ticks and fleas. So if you're going to have kids, it's going to come with throw up and, getting them to school and you changing their clothes and a budget. Like everything comes with everything. It doesn't just come with the good side. So the haters and the critics and the Monday morning quarterbacks, dude, they're endless.
Yeah.
And most of this hate moves up. It doesn't come from the top. It comes up. And Michael Saylor loves what I'm doing. People that don't do what I do. I got a lot of people loving the fact that the Bitcoin's down right now because they know I literally post every time I buy it. I just bought stuff at 72. I bought it at 76. I bought it at 82. I bought it at 108. So people are like, "Oh God, dang!" They just make up what I'm down.
Mm-hmm. Has that changed over time? Like as you've become more successful, has the hate your ears listen less?
Pretty much it gets worse. You know, just get more people hating, dude. So
we have one more. But
question though, real quick on that topic is, with your kids specifically, a lot of people want to protect their kids from social media, putting their face out there too quickly. But now we're seeing even with AI and like software, it's not as valuable to create a website. It's not as valuable to create like a piece of SaaS, like a SaaS company. It's all about distribution. And you put time yourself into getting out, talking, your brother's on Spaces every day. We see him every day on Spaces. And distribution is the king. But like, how do you structure it so that your kids are getting out there? They're not like becoming software engineers that's going to be replaced by Claude Code, but they're like actually becoming a personal creator that has a brand. And how do you structure that for your kids?
Well, I mean, you're right. Distribution is the key, right? I mean, the idea was that content was king. And I'm like, I've always said content is not king. Okay. Superior content means nothing without distribution. Mm-hmm. We now see that Mr. Beast actually had funding. I've always wondered, how did Beast get out there? Dude, he had a bunch of funding behind him. That's how. And I remember asking him, hey, would you speak at my gigs? A couple of times we asked him and he wasn't available. It's because he had funding. He already had a commitment and they were working behind the scenes to get the deals. And that's what I did not do, unfortunately. I mean, if I had it all over to do again, maybe I would do that because they were greasing the wheels of distribution, whether it's Disney or ABC or NBC or Discovery Channel, wherever you're going to get. So now, for those of you who don't have those connections, like we use the Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and et cetera to distribute content to billions of people. But what you want to do is try to get those people back, right? You want to try to get them off the Instagram or TikTok, off the StreamYard into your ecosystem via email or text. We've sold or raised about $4 billion over the internet. So we've done a decent job of getting people off TikTok and onto a mailing list so that we could actually communicate with them directly and then do live events. And so that's what I tell my wife and my kids and even my team, right? Like, guys, content, whatever, endless. There's endless amounts of, bullshit, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, all the little questions you asked me in the quiz, every one of them was wrong.
Yeah. Well,
why look up what Grant Cardone said? We can just make up what he said.
I'm blaming Google. That stock's going to drop a little more now because of that one. No, thank you so much for popping on and bringing it back to us with 21rates.com. That's our site that we've built now because we're seeing Bitcoiners not know where to go.
What is it again? What is it?
21rates.com. Let's see if we can pull this up real quick.
21rates.com. You see how I'm helping you make sure the audience knows what it is?
Exactly.
Is that 21? Is that a 2-1?
That is a 2-1. The number 21rates.com /stack. You can come and spin every single day. Get free Bitcoin. We have education courses. We're here to show you, compare different companies that are in the space in Bitcoin, different exchanges, what their rates are on lending, et cetera. And so
we got to get Cardone's fund on here. We got to get the fund like either on the ETF page or something special there.
Exactly. So wrapping this up here. Oops, there we go.
We're thinking about, by the way, we were going to go public. You mind if I do this?
Yeah, just go for it.
We were looking at going public last year. This is well known. People knew I was out doing it. I met with 8 banks in October. I said, nah, I'm going to hold off for right now. I want to end the year and start the new year and see where we're at, because we were actually looking at possibly going public with part of the company and tokenizing the real estate. Here we are in February. I'm so glad we didn't go public last year.
It's timing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Timing's everything, man.
That is crazy. We'll give you the mic for the last ring here, but we kind of talked about it on the front of the podcast, but like now we popped up. At first we were talking that we're going to walk into this bloodbath of a day, and we did pop back up. But for the folks that did buy at 120, 126, they bought the Pico top. What do you tell folks that are in Bitcoin, that have just started to get into Bitcoin? How can they wrap their head around it from an investing standpoint? And maybe it's not just Bitcoin, but for the young folks out there that feel lost, they feel like they have to gamble and do parlays in order to get out of this purgatory of serfdom, as we say. Give you the mic there.
Well, you probably won't like the advice I have, but I've always said, if I was 25 years old today and I had no money, okay, let's say I got $7,000 or $70,000 or nothing. Okay. I would not go out. I would not be looking to put money in any investment other than me. Okay. You should invest all the money in yourself. I don't mean your clothes either. I don't mean your clothes or a watch or shoes. I'm talking about you, the person, the being, right? The confidence, competence, the ability to articulate, to have something to say, man, you got to get great at something. The game is to collect as much fiat as you can. Your other people's money. Get money from other people because you exchange something of value. Like your first job is to basically work for free and exchange so much value that people are like, dude, what are you on? What do you sleep? What do you eat? Where do you people should be curious about what makes you different. And the problem right now is most kids, by the way, I know people 50 years old that aren't doing this. People that are 60 years old that should be adding more value to the people around them. So first, invest in yourself. Second thing is in your brand and your business. Okay. Once I get good at sweeping, Okay. I would take my $700 and okay, I'm gonna buy brooms, brand brooms. Like I'm gonna get fucking great at sweeping to where people are like, you're exceptional at sweeping. If you're not hearing that, it's you're not exceptional. Okay. And then once you hit exceptional, people are gonna pay you extra money. They're gonna be like, hey, show me how to make the broom. Come teach my people how to sweep. You know, if people are just trying to hire you, it's because you're good. When people start saying, teach my people how to do it, it's because you're great. When people ask you to do shows about it, now you're exceptional. And then you're going to get overpaid. And at that point, you're going to have extra money. When you have extra money, man, convert it to something better than money. And then you can start buying Bitcoin. I wouldn't. I would, if I had 70 grand right now, I would not go buy a Bitcoin today. If it was my last 70 grand, okay, I would go buy something that cash flows. So my 70 grand produces $4,200 a year in cash flow. And I would take the $4,200 in cash flow and buy a part of a Bitcoin out of my cash flow. But this is just my little scam. I got a little scam I've worked out. I get other people's fiat. I convert it to something real. The real thing has to cash flow. If it doesn't cash flow, I will not buy it. The cash flow is what I take risk with. I never risk other people's fiat. I risk my time to get their fiat. I trade their fiat for something real, not silver and gold, because silver and gold doesn't cash flow. I live off the cash flow or I risk the cash flow. In my case, I just risk all the cash flow. And that's how we're buying our Bitcoin today.
Boom. That's the blueprint right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. I love it. Well, Grant, I think you're speaking in New York. We're going to be there actually next week. And so hopefully we can finally meet in person. But
yeah, I love that.
Fantastic interview. As always, you're the man. Rob, you want to take us home?
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We are live every single day, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, the Daily Stack. We've got great guests, including the man himself, Grant Cardone. It's really a masterclass in so many different aspects of just life, investing, business, anything you can ask for. We really covered it all today. Thank you so much for your time today, Grant. It's been an absolute pleasure. Everyone, until Monday, thank you. It's been a great week on the Daily Stack.